This is the second part of the lecture on the lymphatic system. So today we are going to learn about the spleen. It is the largest lymph organ in our body. It is formed by reticular tissue and lymphatic tissue. It lies in the left hypochondriac region of the abdominal cavity between the fundus of the stomach and the diaphragm. The spleen is slightly oval in shape and there is a hilum on the lower medial border. When we are talking about the microscopic structure of the spleen, it is surrounded by a fibroelastic capsule, and this fibroelastic tissue from the capsule dips into the substance of the organ, forming trabeculae. That means it forms partitions inside the organ. The substance of the organ, or the cellular material, contains lymphocytes and macrophages. This cellular material is called splenic pulp. It is divided into two main types, that is red pulp and the white pulp. Red pulp is the part which is filled with blood, and white pulp contains lymphatic tissue. There are sleeves of lymphocytes and macrophages around blood vessels which enter and exit spleen. This picture shows you the microscopic structure of the spleen. There you can see the capsule, trabeculae, and also white and red pulp. What are the functions of spleen? The old and abnormal erythrocytes or red blood cells are destroyed inside the spleen, and also other cellular materials are removed by the process of phagocytosis in the spleen. The spleen also acts as storage of blood because it contains a relatively large amount of blood, approximately 350 ml of blood. And as the spleen contains T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes, it is also responsible for the immune responses of our body. The spleen is also an important site for fetal blood cell production. The thymus gland is another organ of the lymphatic system. It lies in the upper part of the mediastinum behind the sternum. You can see the location of the thymus gland in the image below. It extends upward into the root of the neck. It grows until the individual reaches puberty, but then it begins to atrophy. Let's see the microscopic structure of thymus gland. The thymus gland consists of two lobes which are joined by areolar tissue. The fibrous capsule dips into the substance of the gland and divides it into lobules. These lobules consist of an irregular branching framework of epithelial cells and lymphocytes. The lymphocytes, which originate from the red bone marrow, enter the thymus and develop into activated T lymphocytes. This picture shows you the microscopic structure of the thymus gland. There you can see lobules in the substance of the gland. Now we are going to talk about the mucosa-related lymphoid tissue, or we call them mold. These are collection of lymphoid tissues, but they are not surrounded by a capsule. Therefore, they are not considered as separate organs. They are diffused lymphoid tissue in the mucosa of gastrointestinal tract. They contain B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. They have been migrated from bone marrow and thymus to the mucosa of gastrointestinal tract. They are important in the early detection of invaders which comes from the outside. So, as they have no afferent lymphatic vessels, they do not filter lymph. Therefore, they are not exposed to diseases which spread by lymph. An example for mucosa-associated lymphoid tissue is tonsils. Tonsils are located in the mouth and throat. They are important to destroy swallowed and inhaled antigens, which comes from outside of the body. The other important example for mucosa-associated lymphoid tissues is Peyer's patches. They are large collections of lymphoid tissues which can be seen along the wall of small intestine. So they are important to remove foreign antigens which enter into the body from outer environment. Now we are going to talk about the clinical anatomy related to the lymphatic system. The first clinical condition related to lymphatic system is that the fragments of tumors and the infected materials can be spread throughout our body through the lymph vessels. That they can enter into the lymph vessels from their original site and then enter into the circulatory blood system through which it can spread throughout our body. And the second condition is lymphangitis, that is, the infection of lymph vessel walls. The microbes in the lymph draining from the area of infected can spread along the walls of lymph vessels. The third condition is lymphatic obstruction. When a lymph vessel is obstructed, there is an accumulation of lymph distal to the obstruction. So there can be lymphodenia. Another clinical condition is called lymphadenesis. It is caused by microbes transported in lymph from one area of infection to another area. The nodes become inflamed, enlarged, and congested with blood. The other condition is lymphomas. These are malignant tumors of the lymphoid tissue. And there are malignant neoplastic metastases. Those are the cancer cells which are transported in lymph from tumors which can multiply and form metastatic tumors in other sites of the body. So in this picture you can see the lymphodenia, that is the enlargement of your organs due to accumulation of lymph, and the other one is lymphadenitis, that is the enlargement of lymph nodes. When we are considering the disorders of the spleen, splenomegaly or the enlargement of the spleen is a major condition. Enlargement of the spleen is usually secondary to another condition such as infections, circulatory disorders, blood diseases, or due to malignant neoplasms. So in this picture you can see the enlargement of the spleen. Regarding thymus gland, enlargement of this gland is associated with some autoimmune diseases. For example, thyrotoxicosis and Addison's disease can cause enlargement of thymus. This is the end of the lecture on lymphatic system.